But yeah, and then having like a storefront, separate storefront that we could hire, a couple people to work in. And maybe we'd be in the storefront, a couple days a week, like just us.
It's really important to us to keep what we do as like a priority to what we're doing. Like we're not just gonna like throw everything away and call it done. That defeats the purpose of all the, the hard work.
Also, another thing I would say too is if we did kind of have our own little workshop where we hired people to work with us, we would, first of all, build that team very slowly. And second of all, ew, now I can hear myself.
Well, because I'm seeing if it worked. Okay. Go.
Okay. Second of all, the other part is when I did art direction, when I first was doing it, I had a really small team and I was just being introduced to doing it. And I was able to make prints myself plus art direct. It was tricky work, but I have to say, I think I was a much better art director when I was able to do both. Eventually, like I had such a big team, there was just no way I personally could do both. And I felt like while it was great in the fact that like I could art direct more people and we could get more done that way. And they still, of course, did quality work. I still felt like I was a better art director when I was also making the prints at the same time. So in that same idea, I feel like I would continue to make the bags myself alongside our people. Like I wouldn't just completely step back from doing that ever.
That's not part of who you are. So
no.
Having a separate workshop in retail can. I don't want to talk to them.
YouTube, can you hear us?
Yeah, it seems like you can.
Oh, good.
Having a separate workshop in retail can be a real headache in terms of transporting products.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean that's why. That's why like we would migrate everything to one space.
Well, I was saying that like part of me thought about having like a workshop and a storefront separate from each other.
No. Unless they're super close. Like
yeah,
to
that's what I'm imagining.
Unless maybe, but they would just that would be.
I'm imagining like where we think.
My shop's also in my basement. How do you guys keep your basement spiders under control?
I hate
like
spiders.
They're a winner. So I did not hear you.
They're winning the battle.
Okay, so.
What's wrong?
I already forgot what the question was.
Separate workspace. Separate.
No, about this one. We don't get a lot of bugs down here. We're like 2/3 of the way underground, so it's not like super crazy.
There's like those little wispy type spiders around.
But they're in the corner. Take a broom.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Dean. Can you re-ask your question? Because my brain stopped working.
And they can still hear me. I don't know why walking away.
Do you have a round bucket bag? We have. I mean, the one that Leanne's working on has.
I can go grab my bag if you want.
Oh yeah.
It's
this is the bottom shape, so it's like oval. Leanne's gonna go get her personal one because we don't have any to show you. Pro workshop tip: spiders eat all the other bugs by their enemy. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate down here. So we did get bees one time, but that's fine.
So this is our bucket bag. It's called the Mini Shelby. This is my personal bag that I use all the time. The strap is adjustable to be a crossbody, but I usually just wear it over a shoulder because I just tend to wear my bags that way. One of my main concerns in making a bucket bag is a lot of the people who purchase from us tend to live in cities, and bucket bags tend to be very easy to get into, meaning like someone can easily get a hand in there and take something out real quick while you're not looking. So I basically wanted to make a bucket bag that fit our aesthetic and our collection, that also kept your items safe inside. So It's kind of like a little bit of a Fort Knox bag. It's got a magnetic lid top, but it also has a zipper on top. And there's like itty bitty gaps on the side, but I mean, nothing's really good. I've never had anything fall out of them before. Also, just to really quick, when you first get a bag from us, pretty much almost all of our bags, I think, not all of them, but a lot of them have lids. When you first get it, it's gonna be like a little tricky to get the magnet to go where it wants to go. Once you've used it for like 1 to 2 weeks, it closes and goes right to the magnet. Basically, the leather gets a memory. And that's one really great thing about leather in general, especially veg leather. It really gets a memory, and it can just go right, like I don't have to think about it at all. When I go to close my bag, it just goes right to the magnet. It's closed.
Message retracted. Oh, weird. Sorry.
And then the other thing I love about this bag is the weaving detail on the side. So I don't have to sew this side seam up, which is really nice personally, but I also just aesthetically like that. And then the bottom is very structural. The actual like base of your bag is almost an inch off the ground if you put it on the ground. So like this part's never really touching the ground. Oh, that will be my next order. Oh, that's awesome. I feel like we need to talk about our bags more on here.
I know, we fail at the selling part.
We're not good salespeople.
Here's bags.
Here's some bags.
There's also, we don't have a lot to show. That's partly part of it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, now Nick has a bunch of bags on his arm. But yeah, this is the bag this is the sienna color. So it's kind of like a burgundy, brownish, reddish brown.
These are our large bags.
Nick just
I'm a bag tree.
Bag tree over here. But yeah, this is the bag that I use all the time. And like I said, this strap can be easily turned to a crossbody strap. One of the women actually, whose daughter was in Wes's class, bought this bag, same color, but she wears hers crossbody all the time. It looks great on her. Yeah, it's a great bag. Oh, I wish I could read that. I'm sorry. Let me forget this is
Okay. Let's see. The more people you get involved, the more time you'll spend on people problems. Just saying. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's right. So we did talk about that a little bit after we lost sound on YouTube, but obviously you didn't hear that. So we both have experience with that. Like I had a team of over 300 people, and Leanne had a team of
17, I think 17? Was the biggest, something like that.
So like we're well aware of that, but I think it's just so important to us to keep like what we do at human scale.
Yep.
And to teach in a way that just continues to keep that. Like the goal isn't to just, get robots to do this stuff. It's to teach a skill and to have
to create creative jobs for people too.
Have a creative outlet.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of those these days.
There really isn't. Chat GPT is going to even ruin it even more.
How has the IG algorithm been for you recently? Okay. I used to focus on like what Instagram is doing, and then I realized it makes a lot more sense to just focus on what we're doing. Because it's going to change constantly anyway.
Oh, the other really good, I was like, there's something else I want to say about what we were saying with people problems. So the other piece that I think is very, very helpful for us is one, Nick is really good at hiring people. And choosing the right people is super important. And I also was a huge part in hiring people at my job when I was there.
I'm weirdly good at motivating people and getting a lot out of them in a way that helps them grow. I don't understand it.
But you're also really good at just like reading people and like picking the right person for the job. Although I do have to say, the job that you were at wasn't necessarily like an overly creative job for those people. So I would love to see.
No, but I hired creative people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I would like to see, though, how you hire for a creative job.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Time will tell. All your bags are great. That's the danger of following your Instagram.
Yeah.
It's true.
Can I just take this ruler?
But yeah, that's definitely a legitimate concern. I think our goal is to always just grow in a smart way, organically. And I think usually you see those types of negative changes when you take on like other people's money. And our goal is to bootstrap it for the most part. So
Yeah.
if you take on like someone else's investor money, you obviously have to consider their perspective the whole time, and they have a lot to say then in what you do. And a lot of times that comes down to just strictly profit, right? That's the goal. And there are definitely ways we could be more profitable currently, but we're choosing to not be because it puts out a better product. And I feel, we both feel, for the longevity of the business, that just makes sense. And we're always thinking really long term. Because, I mean, it would be a lot easier to get a cheaper leather, a much cheaper leather, much cheaper labor, and have someone make the stuff and then just market it.
Right.
But I don't think that's why people buy from us at all.
I agree with you, and I don't think we would enjoy that either.
And if we showed like the training process and the behind the scenes, because we're never going to stop showing like all that stuff. That's what makes it
I would
exciting.
If anything, I'd get to show it more.
Yeah.
Because
you
it'd
get to
be
do more kinds of things like that.
Right. I'd be able to be behind the camera more and showing other people doing it, and yeah, I think it would be good.
It's exciting in a whole different way.
It is.
Cool. Ba-ba-ba. Sure. We always do this. Like I try to find the comment and then I get stuck. What is on my reading list? It's still the same reading list. It's like another 15 books that I haven't read yet.
I feel like you get into like a...
I do like a pattern where I'll just
Yeah.
read a bunch and then I won't because I think my brain's absorbing it.
Digesting it.
Do you make reversible belts? We don't.
Or what's a reversible belt?
Belt that's black on one side, brown on the other.
That's interesting. Oh, and you
So
can
you
just
only
like
need one
flip it
belt?
over. That's pretty smart.
Hello from Hungary.
No, we don't do belts.
No, I did make this one.
And you made me a belt too.
And
My
then-
belt is vintage.
I didn't make that one.
No, you didn't.
What else you got?
Yeah, we dabbled in belts for like a hot second, but
We did belts and like dog leash, we did all the
All the
standard
things.
leatherworking things when we did shows in person, because those are the kind of things that kind of sell that way. They're much more difficult to do just e-commerce. And that's what's interesting. That's what was so interesting to me about selling so many bags at shows. I just didn't expect it. I expected all the small goods to be what would sell.
yeah, but it
But I
wasn't.
think because it was so different, and I don't think people really saw handmade bags at the shows we were at. So it was like the perfect
I don't think so.
timing for that.
Yeah, there was other leather workers there, but they were
Belts and
mostly
wallets make me
doing
sleepy.
the
They're
small
not
stuff.
fun. They're not super fun to create.
And the other piece with belts specifically is like it's a sizing thing, you know, and people don't know their size. We've talked about this before, but like
Well,
vanity
your
sizing
suit
has
sizing
really
is
kinda-
different than your belt size, which is different than your pant size.
and like vanity sizing has just screwed all of that up, and no one knows what size they are.
Oh, looks like someone just bought the Greta.
Oh, yay! Thank you. Are they on there? Did they
Yeah,
say?
they just said it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yay! I'm glad
Confirmed.
she found out.
Ba-ba-ba.
You love
Thank
that
you.
bag.
What's that?
I said you'll love that bag.
Yep. So then just the Phoebe left. Thank you. Yeah, we
That's
don't
nice.
usually have anything extra, so that
No.
was like, I was like boxing stuff up and like, this one's,
Where's this one
where's
going?
this go? That's what happens though sometimes. That's like the only way we get extra. by
Yeah, you like
accident.
forget and whoops.
Well, sometimes like we've had people order and then cancel for one reason or the other.
Yeah.
So
Like, yeah.
I didn't update my list, probably.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or I just never learned how to count. Do you notice more sales during the live? Well, we're not open all the time, so I would say no, I guess.
Yeah, we have order week.
Order week.
Which is the first week of every month. So, do you feel like more people are on the website?
I have the one in Navy. You're gonna love it. I do think it gets a little bumped to like our website. I know from the past surveys we've done that like not a ton of people watch these like right now. They watch them later in the week or when they have time, kind of like a podcast. So I do think it helps to humanize us. We are humans, not leather robots.
Ew. I'm picturing a leather
Robots
robot.
made out of leather.
Yeah, that's
making
exactly
leather goods,
what I'm picturing.
leathering around.
Something about that's weird.
But yeah, I mean, yes and no. It depends. If we have something like this, then yes, but otherwise not. Where can I find the website? In our profile, we have a link, but it's just hemlockandhyde.com.
And the end is spelled out A-N-D.
Yes. I don't think you can do symbols in websites.
I don't know. I'm too old to know that.
If we could, I would buy it because I like the plus.
Oh, I do too. I think that'd be cool.
It's my wallet.
What other questions you guys got?
Why?
Why? Hey,
My
Wes.
garden's doing really good. Got plenty of tomatoes happening.
I gotta go look at it. I haven't been out there
You
in a
should.
while.
I should have
I
taken.
finally got some rain too.
There's one. I should have taken some of the other branches off.
What?
The bottom of the tomato plant.
Oh. Can you do it now or is it too
No,
late?
it's got a whole bunch of tomatoes on it.
Okay.
Are you Black Mirror fans? Yes, I
Nick
am.
is.
I don't think Leanne is.
I feel like I just fall asleep, so.
I think they're coming. They're coming out with something new. If I'm not mistaken.
Like a new series altogether or new episodes?
I tried to watch the movie they put out, and like I couldn't really get into it. I don't know why. It just.
Is that, I bet they're picturing the leather robots in there.
Oh, probably. I think there's a new season. Yeah, I thought I heard that. I mean, we're living in it, so it used to be cool when you could imagine
Like, oh, that'd be.
dystopian future, but here we are.
We're in a.
It's funny, after leaving the city for the rural, where everyone gardens, it becomes less special. It's like a club in the metro zones. That's very true. I mean, we had community gardens in the city also.
Yeah.
I could see that, but it's definitely still special. Growing your own food is like the coolest thing.
Actually, what's funny is that when Nick built our garden, none of our neighbors had gardens.
Now they all do.
And now they all do.
My plan is working. I'm a garden influencer too. What kind of tomatoes are they? Are they grape? Cherry? What are you doing? Beefsteak?
Okay, great.
There's nothing better. It tastes so much better. Can't beat it.
That's true. And it gets Wes to eat vegetables.
Yeah, he goes out to the garden and he goes, my favorite lettuce or my favorite plant, and he eats it, and it's like an oak leaf lettuce.
He loves it.
So.
And the strawberries too. We'll see if he'll eat a tomato. I don't really picture that happening.
Lawns are a monoculture that destroy ecosystems. Gardens are the way to go.
Yeah,
Plant clover.
basically like
Plant small
50%,
format clover.
50% of our yard
Micro clover.
is garden, edible garden.
We don't have a big backyard, but most of it is garden and a little fire pit.
Yep.
And it's still expanding.
It is. He has other plants.
Beefsteak would be your garden insult. They're amazing tomatoes. Don't make fun of beefsteaks. They take forever though.
Beefsteak?
Crazy heirlooms.
Are they
Yeah,
really?
they're like the big ones.
But they have different
And, like,
colors and stuff?
Yeah, they're really good.
They are
It's just
very
they
good.
take like forever, even from transplant.
We got nothing but time.
Where can we purchase your bags? Someone's trying to keep us on track. Here. It's hemlockandhyde.com. Oh, that was weird. But we're open the first week of the month, so we're not open now. You can take a look at stuff, ask questions, and all that.
Except for the Phoebe, Navy
Except
Phoebe.
for, well,
Is still.
somebody's got it in their cart, but I don't know if they're going to buy it or
Pull
not.
the trigger. But yeah, typically what we do is order week, which is the first week of every month. You can place your orders, and then we take a month to make everything and send it out. For us, it just works best this way because we can order our leather a little bit more appropriately. You can batch things together when making, so I'm not just like making one Greta in navy and then getting like 3 more orders in, and I'm being like, I should have made them all together, or I wish I would have waited. You know what I mean? I can make them all at the same time, which is just a lot faster for me.
Yeah, and getting the second machine really just...
Yes, that's actually, I feel like this is the first week that I've done it, right? We got the second, or Nick took our first machine and added the EPS to it so that I can do a group.
Someone's saying answer me, but I don't think I saw your question come across.
What are you doing now? I'm working on 3 mini Shelbys, which is that bag I showed you guys earlier. It's this one. Right now I'm just working on putting zippers together. This guy. This is my personal bag.
Are you guys some sort of business or something? I think we are. I think we are, Trevor. I'm not sure. Haven't figured it out yet.
Nobody really knows, to be honest.
We're just humans doing human stuff. We're not robots.
What are we just talking about?
We're not AI generated.
We were just talking about something. What was it? Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is the first week, I think, that we've got the EPS on both machines. So I'm able to do groups of 2 colors at the same time. So basically, I'm trying to remember the example I was doing sienna and tan, I think, at the same time, of the same style bag, but
Stop calling me.
YouTube, can you hear us?
Yeah, they can.
Yes, okay. It's so annoying.
God, it's really annoying.
Yeah, basically I can work
They
a
want to
little
talk
bit
to me
faster.
about ad spend, and I don't want to talk to them.
Who is
Get
it?
the hint. Meta.
I'm trying to make you buy more.
I don't know. I don't know what they want. I don't care. It's not my problem. Yeah. Stop trying to sell me stuff, guys. See how frustrating it is? We have people that like say, "Oh, we want to do videos and photography and SEO, and all sorts of stuff for you." I'm like, I don't want that. No thanks.
Well, half the time I feel like it's a scam.
It's weird I have that same ringtone. It would vibrate. Apollo 1, come in. YouTube, can you hear me? They can. Where are you from? We're from the U.S.
We're right outside of Philadelphia.
You don't have to put a cry face and say answer me after every question, by the way. All desperate. Okay, I'm glad. At least the audio doesn't cut out every time. That would be really annoying.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, great.
Who is she, your girlfriend? Yep. Who are you? How did you get here? Get out of my house.
Just a troll.
It's because I shaved.
Oh my God. Yeah, Nick shaved and Wes goes, Daddy, did you cut your...
No, he said, did you get a mustache haircut?
That's did you get a
I
mustache
said I did.
haircut?
Yes.
I love that one.
What's your preferred EPS position? Down.
Down.
I don't know
I don't
why
really
you would
know.
do the other way,
I don't either.
to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of a time when I would want that.
Maybe if we're in Australia, you do it the other way.
And honestly, you just tap it the other, like you tap the back portion of the pedal and it goes up. So like,
What is your photo editing process like? Use Lightroom. Yeah, I love Lightroom. I bought, it was on sale. I bought like their package, so I have access to all the Adobe suites. I hate that it's a subscription, but it's what I'm used to. And Leanne also uses Photoshop Illustrator, and I use Premiere Pro for photo editing. So it's worth it for us. It's not worth it for everybody. Anyway, so I basically, as soon as I'm done taking a shoot, like I take minimal photos while we're there. Like taking a shoot.
Sounds like you just said taking a shit.
Whoa,
but...
careful. Don't curse.
This is a family program.
It's family. We go out, I take photos, and I don't take a lot, and then I get back, upload them, and I generally, everyone's different, but I generally don't like call them immediately unless there's call.
What's that mean?
I don't delete the ones that I don't like immediately. Unless it's like super obviously blurry until I can see them.
Or like my eyes are crossed or something.
Or yeah, or if it's super weird. So
Really,
I guess I do.
Really
But there's not usually a lot.
Because you don't take a ton of pictures.
No, I don't. So from there, I really I kind of just start at the beginning. Because like in my mind, it's fresh. So I start at the beginning of the photo shoot and work my way to the end in pictures. And that's it.
What are you usually doing to edit them? Just
it
like
depends on the
with...
lighting. It depends on the location. Like sometimes things, like in the one green room, everything's just really green, like, and not in a good way. So I have to like tone it down.
What green room?
I generally try not to over edit stuff. Yeah, like I usually bring down highlights, whites, and blacks. You like crunching the color spectrum there, and then sometimes things need to be cooler or warmer, and then I'll do color grading, which I like to. So this is kind of cool. I kind of use it the way like you would paint. So when you paint layers over layers, like you get more depth to your paintings. So like you can paint like a warm base, and then you go over that in cool, or vice versa, and that gets you more depth to your image. So I do something similar with color grading, where I'll either use primarily warm, and then take the global color grade and use it do cool and cool down, or the other way around. So like you can make your shadows, middles, and lows, highlights, cool, and then go back to the global and warm it up. So it kind of just rounds things out in a different way. But there's so many things in there you can mess around with. I try to do as little as possible to it, while still conveying like the mood I want. I'm very conscious while I'm taking the picture of framing. Like I hate to see stuff in the frame that, like I don't like to crop that much. So I like to take the picture as it is, unless I'm doing something that's super zoomed out.
I think the Phoebe's gone.
Yeah, did someone buy the Phoebe too?
It looks like it.
Okay, thank you. They're gone.
Do you have to turn them off?
No,
Or
I
you
just put one up.
Okay.
But yeah, like I'm very intentional while I'm taking photos and thinking about the editing process while I'm doing that. I don't know if that helps you. We can talk about it more if you want, separately. Talk smack for one podcast. You should talk smack for one podcast. Would be rad.
Talk smack about what?
We're not that. I don't think we're that kind of people.
What were we gonna talk smack about?
Mustache haircut. Hello from Deutschland. Hello,
Ooh,
Germany.
hello.
How many meatheads are in the courtyard today? Should I bring a poison bowl or sticky?
What?
I don't know what that person's saying. You're from New York, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New Jersey, Texas, Miami, or Chicago. We're from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So just pretend we're from South New York. Based on what you said there. Are you used to a Photoshop in the down, EPS in the down position, and I switched to up, and I like it a lot more. Oh.
That's interesting.
Can you tell us why? I think like if we're doing curves, it's easier to do the needle down, but if you have some tips, we're all ears. I heard Australians also like it down under. Ah, jeez. I'm looking for a girl.
Wait, is that same
Well, you
cream?
can't have my wife, so I'm sorry.
Get out of here.
That's amazing.
You're a weirdo.
Series terrible. I just used EPS in the down position, but switched up and like it a lot better. Okay. This is getting weird. How many total bags have you made over the years?
Oh God.
How many years have you been in business? We started in 2017, and at this point, it's in the thousands.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't have an exact number off the top of my head, but it's
That's a
definitely.
good question.
Do you have save presets that you start with first, or you just kind of know how to get your style look from looking at the raw photo? Yeah, so that's what I do. Sometimes if I have saved presets, and like you can do that. I don't really like the look of it because it looks like you just applied a filter over everything. I mean, you can, the cool thing about that is like you can apply the filter and then dial it back. So that's helpful. When I did the navy, I had to do that because of how it comes across on the screen. It just doesn't look as blue as when you get it. And it can easily come across as like a black bag. So that was something that I used a preset for. But I typically don't, unless I really feel that I need to heavily edit what's happening to like match what I saw in person. Do you buy leather? Sometimes.
That is how we make things.
Who is my least favorite leather worker, and why is it also get a good one? Whoa, shots fired.
Whoa, is this the smack talk that we're supposed to be talking?
I think so.
Wait, who said that?
Daniel. To Trevor.
Oh wait, guys, so 2 things. First, podcast corner. If you want to go listen to a great podcast with our friend Daniel and our friend Matt Rouge.
I was like, what are you talking about? I already
The
forgot.
Leather Shop. I get it wrong every time.
Leather Shop Pod.
Leather Shop Pod. But their latest episode has our friend Daniel from Skinner American Goods, right?
Pretty sure. I always mix them up for some reason.
Up American and Skinner, yeah. But I listened to it yesterday, and it was a great episode. I really loved it. And I'll just shout this other podcast out one more time, as I shouted them out last week. But I really am enjoying listening to their episodes. Is Full Grain Podcast with
Nick from Horween and Phil from Ashland Leather.
Yes.
Yeah. So we use these wire binder clips. Somebody asked. Where do you source your leather from? Wicket and Craig in Pennsylvania.
Our home state, baby.
Where
We were just at.
We just visited them. So if you want to check out the videos, we posted them too. It was cool to see. It was super cool to see. Everyone there was really nice, and I feel grateful to have gotten to meet them and see what they do. We didn't get to see the entire process because it's like not just a one-day process, right? So we got to see some of it. We plan on going back to see more, so it would be lots of fun. I was wondering if you had a suggestion for newcomers to get into some basic training in leatherworking. Is there something, I have such a hard time with this question, just because I don't know like a reference point you have. If you have like no knowledge at all, it's just hard. If you have more specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. But like usually people start by hand stitching with like a wax thread.
You can get
making some sort of pattern that they got.
Or you can get free patterns.
Getting free patterns is a good way to start, just to see.
There's even kits.
Because probably right now, if you have no knowledge, you just want to see if you like doing it. So find a free pattern you want to do. Maybe go to like a place and get like a small panel, like a couple square feet of leather, and some needles and some thread, and see if it's something you're into. And then YouTube, we found, was very helpful when we were starting. So if you want to learn how to burnish or something like that. Patterns and kits are a great idea. Thanks, guys. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's hard to gauge like where you're at to know how to help you. What's funny is each sewing machine sounds a little different than the other. Yeah. Like this one's more like tinny. It's like me.
This one's more robotic. This one's more robotic. The other one's more like lolling.
Some coat stores sell recycled jacket scraps to start learning with. Oh, that's cool to know. And the other thing you'll probably want to learn about is the difference between chrome tan and veg tan, and like how that applies to your design too. So like a veg tan's more stiff. So if you want a stiffer product, definitely do that.
The edges. Yeah, we also sell scrap Like, what would you say, every couple months?
Would you sell dust bags for those of us who may or may not have an H&H problem?
We talked about doing
We
that,
did talk about
and
that.
I said we should.
Okay.
See? Thank you.
I didn't say we shouldn't. I just wasn't sure if like there was a want for it.
There.
I like that. I like how that was worded.
Me too.
Thank you.
Also, I want one of our dust bags is like a tote.
And this
I
person's
want one.
suggesting to follow other great leather crafters so you can get some inspiration.
Yeah, I agree.
Tandy sells kits with everything you need. They do.
I think most of the suppliers have kits.
Do they?
I think so.
I was just gonna say buy scraps from H&H. Yeah, we don't have them very often, but when we do,
It's every
they're
couple
there.
months. It's like every other month, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting more prevalent.
It's because we're coming up on a time to do it, probably.
Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of them. I'm looking at them.
So probably some
I
coming.
just want to make sure I'm using as much as we can use first.
Yeah, yeah. Right, and we have to cut
And
out.
we do like, we don't just give like garbage scraps either, in case you're wondering.
No, we're doing stuff that's like usable for you guys. And usually like the sizes are, there's a range of sizes within like the scraps.
Don't follow me for leather learning. I'm everyone's least favorite leather worker.
Who is that?
Trevor.
Of course.
Get
What
together.
are you talking about? Excuse me.
What other questions did you guys have when you first started?
Yeah,
Because that's like a good way to, I think,
to
start.
get some other, and some other,
For us, like, I remember we went to a Tandy and I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
luckily, usually the people that work in the stores are very
There were so many different tools and I'm like, all these hand tools, I'm like, do I need this? I don't know. Am I doing this wrong?
probably.
Like, I remember looking at the stitching wheel, like the little thing, and I was like, what could you possibly use this for?
I still don't know. What do you use
I'm
that?
not sure either. It's for, well, I guess if you have like a single pricking iron, it's a way to space your stitching.
Oh my god, that would take forever. Who would
I
do
mean, some people do that if you don't have pricking irons, I guess.
that? Okay.
Just got 100 pounds of scrap for my job. Holy moly. It's in industrial sizes. They're usually good. 3 to 4 feet, an odd gray color, and some are thinner 2-ounce oil brown stuff. Wow. That's a lot of scrap.
Who said that?
Pink
Pink
pig
pig.
leather.
Hey, what's your day job?
I don't remember, but I know he got a new job. Not, I
Oh,
mean, I
okay.
guess it was a little while ago at this point.
That's cool.
I get leather from my job too.
You think it's so funny.
What was your worst leather crafting injury? Oh no, we all prick our fingers.
Mine was much
Well,
worse.
Leanne's is a whole thing. Needles, pricking irons, whoops. Good thread, glue, mallet, sharp knife, and any veg tan leather. You had a good one. I'm just compensating because I genuinely don't know how to hand stitch anything, and I'm woefully out of my league.
Yeah, we'll try to teach one of us to like make a jacket or a pair
So
of pants or something.
when we first got, well, I guess it was a while after, I created a foot pedal press
yeah.
for our
Rivet setter.
our rivet setter, and it was all leather. The whole thing was leather. So one morning, Leanne broke it because she was jumping on it.
I was not. No, it was, first of all, it was very early in the morning because at this point I used to get up super early, or I still get up super early, but even earlier, and I would work while everyone was sleeping. So Nick was asleep, and I was using the foot pedal to rivet something, and it broke, and the metal bar came back and snapped up and cracked me right in the head. I still have a pretty good scar. I don't know if you guys can see it on here, but I have a scar right here from it.
Luckily, it goes kind of like with a natural
Yeah, like
wrinkles.
the wrinkles that you get from like scowling, I guess, which I probably have.
scowling.
I probably have a lot of that. But then I like immediately just went like this and grabbed it, and I started freaking out and yelling for Nick. So he was asleep or like might have been awake,
I was like,
but you were definitely like laying down at the
Sleeping.
least.
I
Oh, you
was
were
out.
sleeping. Okay.
well, I remember hearing like a weird sound, and then I was
My
like,
skull cracking in
yeah,
half.
probably. And, like, as any parent knows, you wait to see if anything bad happened
Crying, yeah.
afterwards, and I'm like, all right, it doesn't sound too bad. And then I think I was like starting, even in that short time, like going back to sleep.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, and I started screaming for him, and then I can't remember if you came downstairs or if I went upstairs.
well, we met in the kitchen,
Yeah, that's right.
basically.
Right.
And
And
so Leanne's
I was
like
crying, and I couldn't really talk, and I like this, and there's like blood everywhere, and so Nick thinks like I've lost my eyeball or
I'm like,
something.
did you poke your eyeball out? Like, what happened?
He's asking me questions, but I can't really answer.
No.
And then eventually you were like, well, you sit down and put pressure. Like, I think you figured out what was like generally what was happening.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting on a stool holding like
Yeah, and I'm like,
paper
can I
towel.
see?
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure it's not eyeballs, because those are important. Not that the head's not.
But then Nick passed out on the floor.
I did.
And he wouldn't wake up. Well, he would
And
actually.
he wouldn't wake up.
Well, I was screaming at you for a good
Yeah.
5 minutes, but I think you sat down. Luckily,
Yeah,
'cause
I
you were
started
like,
feeling
"Uh-oh."
like I was going to pass out. So I
Yeah.
like got on the ground, like I kneeled and got next to you and like
No, you
leaned
were-
up against the cabinet a little bit.
You were leaning up against the dishwasher.
Oh.
And and all of a sudden you just go. I was like doing this. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden I heard this like weird gurgling sound, and I look at you, and you're like, and I was like, oh god. And so I pulled you that you at least were flat on your back,
Yeah.
so you could breathe better.
Okay.
I was.
She tried to kill me.
I didn't. You were like this, and you couldn't breathe well.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I started screaming for you to wake up, and you weren't waking up. And I was literally like, I guess I have to call 911. And as I went down the stairs to get my cell phone to call 911, you woke up. And you're like, yeah? And I was like, oh God, you're awake. Thank God. It was terrifying.
So
I'm fine.
that's like the only workshop injury we've had. It's
Yeah.
like not just being cut.
Yeah, I mean, I poke myself all the time.
Your favorite brand of tool for the hole punch? If you mean pricking irons, we have
KS?
KS Blade.
That's
And
my
then
favorite.
I like the KS Blade mini punches.
What's that?
I think they're called mini punches. They're like, you can change out the tips.
Oh, yeah.
I work at an architectural leather and felt applicator. Oh, that sounds
So
fun.
cool. That's really cool.
Kind of like leather producer and set design. Oh, very cool.
That's so fun.
Last thing I tried to hand stitch was a disaster.
Hand stitching is.
It's a feel. It's like an art. It's not just like.
It is. But once you get it, it becomes like muscle memory.
Yeah. Your last YouTube video was my favorite. Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Glad
Which
to
one
hear
was
it.
that?
The pricing one. Yeah,
I
that one
haven't
did pretty
listened to
well.
it
It was probably our fastest growing single video in the amount of time it's had. So that's exciting. We're hoping to just be helpful. So that's how it works. Filson, Orvis, Hermes are clients. Oh, very cool. Ouch. Leanne gets up wild and starts jumping onto machines. What's enthusiasm? With a battle scar.
What are you saying?
We all know that Nick secretly sabotaged the pedal. Well,
He's after
she's a
that.
little aggressive. I don't know. She was a little aggressive with it, I can tell.
Whatever. I was, to be fair, riveting something that was like the thickest thing I typically rivet. So I was pushing harder than normal.
So like, I don't know, the way the the riveter is there's like a post and it's spring loaded at the bottom and then there's like an arm. So the arm slapped back, smacked her.
I think and I didn't get stitches or anything. I just
No stitches. We did put like
butterfly
bandages on it.
That I've cracked my head open a few times. Never gotten stitches.
Yeah, well,
But I've used those butterfly band-aids quite a bit.
same video I found must have hit the algorithm. Yeah, probably. Yeah, we have one short that just like continues to live on. It's wild. It's got like
Does that mean making
12 or
money,
13
Shelby?
million views, and it's just like, and that's from last October.
Is that the mini Shelby?
I think it's a regular size Shelby.
Oh.
This thing's got legs. But yeah, if we can get out like one video a week in that style, like it's pretty easy for me to video and film like Leanne making a bag start to finish, and then
Except I
doing,
give him the evil eye most of the time.
and then we can do like the voiceover stuff later, So it's a pretty good workflow for how we do stuff. I've thought about like interview style with both of us, or interview style with like an additional person, just to see.
And we did
How
that
would
for
go.
a hot minute.
Gotta run. See you later. Hopefully you're not ignoring your day job for this.
Was that just like?
No, Josiah probably is ignoring his day job. I feel like it's hard to figure out. Like, I don't especially find myself like scrolling on YouTube. I think the only time I look on it is when I'm interested in finding something out, like specifically. So I feel like it's difficult to come up with those types of ideas for videos. But at the same time, like, there's people out there just making videos of whatever that people like. So we're just gonna try it out, see how it goes. It's pretty fun to do.
So far, so good.
And I feel like I'm adding more to our business in that way too.
Yeah, I agree.
So, become YouTube famous. In the basement.
Basement famous.
Basement famous. We're famous down here.
Compared to the spiders, I don't know.
I think I'm about halfway done cutting out June's orders. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look at what you cut out.
I did start. I have like one more tan to do, so I kind of thought maybe if you wanted to roll into tan first, then I could burnish and paint, because all the navy is done too. I was going to do that next.
Well, I think it makes more sense almost to do it by style, since I can
By
do
design?
two. Yeah, because I can do two colors at the same time.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I kind of feel like I have to cut everything out, and then we can just
And then like
then we can
rearrange.
arrange the production
Yep.
differently. Okay, that helps.
Okay.
My YouTube algorithm consists of makers and freeze dance, baby shark, Miss Rachel, etc. Yeah.
Move your hand. Stop it. Who's Miss Rachel?
Don't know. I'm assuming it's like a kid's thing.
Yeah.
It's like where
Ours is
Wes
like-
watched Blippi.
Now it's Octonauts.
Now it's Octonauts. Do you have to punch holes before machine sewing or just for hand sewing? That's just for hand sewing. Yeah. That's a good question. So these are kind of things that like you forget that you had to think of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like everyone does think about them when they first start, for sure.
Well, like, I remember what blew my mind is like leather's measured in ounces, so I'm just like, I had no idea, had no reference point for that because like I never worked in fabric, but learning the difference between the ounce size was like mind blowing for me. I was like, wow, 10, 12, 14 ounces is crazy thick, and then 2 ounces, 1 ounce is not. You guys are so low key. It's refreshing. Oh, awesome. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
nice to hear.
yeah. It's not that we don't put effort into what we do, but like
Well, we
there's
definitely
such
put
a-
effort into what we do.
we put a lot of effort into it. But like there's such a fakeness to a lot of the things you get to see out there. It's just like so polished, I guess.
You know what? That's also why I like
And it's like
that.
too polished, and you're like, well, that's not how it really happened. There's no way.
It's also why I like that Full Grain podcast, because they're just
Yeah, the
very,
full
like,
grain is just like two guys talking to each other.
Yeah, it's very
Which
chill.
is- yeah.
It's easy to listen to.
Like I don't need everything to be like a soundbite.
No,
I don't.
prefer it not to be, actually.
Let's see. Do you use heat after you edge paint? We don't. Our paint is heatable, and there's definitely a way to do that, but we don't find that we need to. If you do a lot of prep work on your item before you even add the paint to it, it should apply easy and be nice and smooth, which is what we do. I'm not a fan of painting edges. That's not my favorite. I've gotten into it, but it's,
Whoa. The way you said that sounds like you don't like that we paint edges.
I love the design aspect of it. It's not a fun task to do. However, I have been getting more accepting of it.
That's kind of how I feel about burnishing.
Yeah. I feel like burnishing used to feel like such a process, but it was all mental, and now it's like really easy.
Yeah.
It's not that it's hard. I do want to get a...
No, it's not hard.
I do want to get a tabletop burnisher.
Why?
For like certain pieces, for me, it would be easier. Like, not this one, but like, you could just go like this.
Oh, you're talking about the one that's like this.
Yeah.
I thought you meant...
Like a router.
Yeah. Like a table router. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So that's on my list.
Can you literally put the thing on the table and go, or you have to hold it up off the table?
No, like it's inset, so you can change like a router. You can change the depth of the bit.
Yeah.
And then you can just put it on the table and just.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it'll make certain things a lot easier.
Yeah.
So. And you can change it into like, it can be a burnisher, it can be a sander, it can be all sorts of things.
Yeah. Can it be a router?
We're not. No, that's a yes, but no. I mean, it's a motor with a bit, so it could be anything.
2 quick things.
Yep.
Still loving the thread from Buckle Guy.
Oh yeah, she won't shut up about it.
Because
to me,
I had
and like
so
I
many
know already.
issues. Yeah, but I had so many issues that I didn't tell you about because I didn't think there was a way to fix them.
Great. That doesn't help solve problems. Don't keep stuff inside, guys.
But the new thread is so much better. I'm so happy. And then also, I can't remember if I said this before or not, but if you guys were on the episode, the other live, where I was like freaking out about Ted's tape because it was sucked. And I don't mean to be mean about it, but it just,
She
it
was
works
really frustrated
well, but it's taking
about taking the backer off.
Took me like 8 minutes to like try to get that off. Well,
The second she would start, she was already frustrated, and it was funny to watch. She's like,
but I got the Weaver's tape, which is the same idea, who our friend Jamie from Seal Made recommended.
yes.
And it is phenomenal. That back comes off.
It is a lot easier.
So damn
I used it.
easy. Isn't it so
It is.
good? I'm like, yes.
Because
Because and the reason I thought about it is because I use it specifically for this bag because doing the bottom is a little tricky, and using that tape is like a million times easier.
DSLR or mirrorless? I'm still on the DSLR train. I understand mirrorless. I think full frame mirrorless if you're gonna do mirrorless, but they're just more expensive.
What time is it?
It is
I didn't set the one.
11:56.
Okay.
But I think eventually, things will go mirrorless. I like my camera a lot. It's probably outdated, but it's a EOS D5 Mark III.
Is
and
it that
like the mirrorless are good at video too. What?
Is it that the mirrorless are also much lighter?
They're lighter. They're smaller. I mean, they don't have a mirror, so they don't have to actually reflect what's in front of them on anything. It's a digital processor.
I feel like that would be good for me for doing like
Tabletop
selfies.
burnisher would be fantastic. Continue to look for one and not have been successful. Campbell Randall has a bunch of tools, especially leatherworking tools, so you should check that out. Let's see, I'm missing stuff over here. I think of thickness when I think of leather, only used to liquid ounces, yeah. I dye and burnish edges, don't paint them. Yeah, we tried dyeing. I think the paint for us is just a good way
it just
to
finish
suits stuff
the
off
look that we
and
want.
get the look we want. The tabletop burnisher can double as a smoke machine if you use it wrong enough. Wow.
Can double as a what?
Anything can double as a smoke machine if you use it wrong.
Oh no.
Dan lives about 20 miles from me. I have not seen one that's reasonably priced from him. Ah.
Who?
Hello from Argentina. I forgot what I was talking about. Lost it.
Cameras?
It's gone. Oh, yeah. And the other thing with that is I think you need a different adapter for lenses because I love my lens and I would definitely want to keep it and have use for it. So I
Are
only use one
mirrorless
lens.
more or less expensive or the same?
I think they're more. There's also the part when they've gotten much better is like the viewfinder. So when you look through the viewfinder, there's like a delay because it's digital. It's not like you're not actually looking through it like you are on a DSLR.
Yeah.
But I think the ones now have actual like refresh rates of 120, so it's like more in sync with how your eye views it versus just being like, whoa.
Correct.
How do I make my leather not look beat up when the product is finished?
What are you making is my first question. And what kind of leather are you using?
Veg tan leather.
They're using veg tan?
Yeah, for dyeing and burnishing. They don't paint. And veg tan leather can also get really nice and slick on the end if you burnish really nicely. So you don't have to. Like the whole point is to keep water out. That's the whole functional point. And then there we have the aesthetic point of the paint. Not making your stuff look beat up when it's finished. So it depends. If you're using like an oil tan or like a chrome tan that has pull up, I think you can like
That's what I was
heat
gonna
it.
ask.
And it depends on what you're using.
What you're making?
Oh, veg tan. Okay.
So also, if you're turning anything inside out, it's gonna look beat up. That's why we don't do that.
But yeah, turning it inside out can be tough.
You can do it with a milled, and it'll come out a lot nicer. Like a milled veg tan.
And if you're doing wallets and you're not turning them inside out, so when you're stitching,
It's looking
getting
beat up
beat
while
up.
it's being stitched.
So what's getting beat up?
Are you hand stitching it or machine stitching it? Is the other question.
I have a micro 4.3 mirrorless camera, and I love it. It fits in my jacket pocket, works well for my family travel. Yeah.
That's cool. See,
mean,
that's where I would be like into
But
that.
I would use my phone. Like that's
Yeah, that's also true.
I just use my phone for stuff like a point and shoot, and then the DSLRs for like more in-depth
Like a photo shoot.
photo ideas. When I'm stitching, oh, I already read that. Machine. Okay.
So you're getting like a line basically from the presser foot. The thing that you can do, if you haven't done it already, is loosen up the, is it called, what is this called?
A tension rod.
Tension rod? Can you guys see this? This tension rod up here?
Sailrite sewing machine. Yeah, so all machines will have a tension rod on the top that Leanne just pointed to.
Yeah, so you only want to do it quarter turns because that can get all the way loosened up, which is dangerous. It can like fly out.
It's spring loaded, so it'll fly up hard with force.
Yeah, so you need to be very careful. Just do like quarter turns. You're not gonna ever like fully get rid of that line, but for us, when I sew, by the time I'm done making a bag, the line is pretty much gone.
Mm-hmm. So this is, I don't even know if you can see it. There's a little bit of an indentation.
The other thing is look at your feed dog and look at your presser foot and just make sure they don't have teeth. If you do have teeth, you can either get a replacement that's smooth or you can file them down till they're smooth.
Yeah, you can grind them.
Sand them down.
I don't know how Sailrite's presser feet come,
Yeah,
but if they're not smooth, that's definitely...
That's probably your biggest...
I would start there.
Yeah, look at that first.
Is it also a triple fed machine, like a walking foot? Because the whole point of that is like it walks, so it keeps tension constantly on your piece.
I mean, that's the type of machine you want.
Yeah, the other ones kind of like draw it forward, like my motions.
I do.
Okay. Cut 2 coils from the tension rod spring. It changes the minimum pressure that can be applied. There you go.
Cut them. How do you do that?
Can also work on the sewing feet as well, the feed dog, and buff them. Yeah, remove any sharp edges. We definitely removed from the throat plate some sharp edges. Our feet came smooth, so.
Got those smooth.
Got smooth feet. I have the Sailrite Deluxe.
I don't know the sewing
Yeah, I'm not
machines
familiar.
very well.
We haven't looked at sewing machines in a while, so I'm not super familiar with that. But if you look at your machine,
Yeah, look at the foot pedal or the presser foot.
I would imagine they would come with smooth feet, but you never know.
Well, it depends what they're really meant to be sewing.
True.
If it's for leather, then they should be smooth. But if it's not,
Canvas.
yeah, if it's just like heavy duty, like industrial, it could definitely have teeth on it.
Teeth. Have you seen aftermarket silicone rubber coated presser feet?
No.
I haven't.
That sounds
Oh, you know what I
interesting.
have?
Oh.
They look like little boots.
Wait, you put them on your
Yeah,
foot?
kind of like your
Thimble?
thimble.
That's hilarious.
That is pretty funny. I'm not sure.
Little socks.
And some people actually tape their
Presser foot?
their seam, so that and then they can take that off. But I don't know if I'd recommend that. So don't listen to me. That's funny. Little tiny feet.
I'm imagining little like the little socks.
Yeah, kind of. Polka dot socks.
Cute.
I have an Adler 669.
Heard the Adlers are great machines.
Expensive. Yeah. It's expensive Adler feet. They're not smooth enough to prevent marks. You hit them with a buffing wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a black buffing compound. Yeah, that makes sense. If you do file or grind your teeth, make sure you received adjust your feed dog height accordingly. That's
Yeah,
a
because
smart tip. Yeah.
you're taking length off your presser foot basically.
Don't know why that says received. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, your whole machine's in the balance, so try not to mess it up. If that doesn't strike confidence in you, I don't know what does. Give it back.
Bye.
No.
Hello. Just making the zipper thing.
Oh, look. Facebook sent a bunch of emails too.
Oh, good.
Stop wanting to talk to me.
So annoying.
They call a lot,
They really do.
and I get from like multiple people.
Well, then Amazon was calling for a while.
Yeah, they want us to, be part of their handmade.
No, thank you.
No, no thanks.
Do you want us to cheapen our brand? Thanks a lot.
I don't know why you would do that.
I don't either.
I know that why they would do it.
Sure.
Steal all of our information and our customer, so they could learn about it and then make a real cheap knockoff version. Ba-ba-ba. All right.
You guys got any other questions we can answer?
What else you got? Because we're gonna probably get going soon.
We're threatening.
We're threatening.
Our first threaten of the day. Zipper time. Where do you think you're going?
And we're gone.
I had to get something.
2 hours later. Who does the bulk of the work in the shop?
Kind
Leanne.
supposedly.
That's a good question. Yeah, she makes everything.
Nick does a lot of prep work though. He cuts everything out. He burnishes and paints a lot of like the things that need to get burnished and paint before I can assemble. He does all our straps that our other friend doesn't do yet.
What's your favorite fiction book or series? I'm not really a fiction person.
He does not do that.
Sorry. Are you wittingly or unwittingly kneecapping your brand growth because your finite production capabilities? Yes, we definitely are. One of the reasons we went to our current model of ordering was to help with that. So we can only make a certain amount a month, right? So we open up for that, and then we close down when we hit that mark. It's also a good way to gauge, in my opinion, like your growth. So if we weren't filling up every time, we would know that information. Or if we filled up the first day every time, that would be a different scenario. It also helps us be more efficient, so we can produce more. We have a couple other ideas in the pipeline for how to be a little bit more efficient, to get like a max number of bags out a month. We will reach like just a threshold, and I don't think we fully hit that yet because we just haven't. But when we do, that's just another conversation to have about the business and what does it look like after that? Like, what do we do after that?
Yeah, we got plans, don't worry.
Yeah. And that's how we treat everything in our business. It's just like, what's happening? What's the trend? What does it take to get to our next goal point? So if we...
And he doesn't mean fashion trend.
No. Sorry. What's actually happening with data. Because, you know, plenty of people have started a business based on all their friends and family going, I love it, it looks great, I would definitely buy that. But you can't judge anything until sales come through. So the quicker you can get a sale, the more you can learn about prospective buyers, the more you can learn about your process, how to get better at it, and then see trends long term. And by trends, like usually the minimum for a trend is a 3-point, right? So like if you have 2 points, it's not a trend. That's like, we'll see what happens. And then if the trend is, you know, 3 points connects, that's a trend. Very minimally. But I was just looking at our sales trend over the last couple of years, per month, year over year, and just checking to see like what our pattern looks like, how we can best adapt to that, high points, low points, all that stuff. I like your model. Me too. And it's funny because a lot of people were very skeptical of it working, and I wasn't, but they were. Because it is a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You're reducing the amount of time people have to purchase with you, and you're making more sales. Doesn't sound like it would work, but that's how it is. Do you intentionally focus only on female products? For the most part, yep.
We're not opposed to doing men's
Yeah, we're not opposed to any menswear.
Plans to...
And men have bought our bags.
Yeah. And we're not trying to be like just for women, but... It's
Leanne's wheelhouse. It's where she's comfortable. Yeah. And like I'm not like super design. I'm not at the level she is for design. So if I was going to create menswear stuff in conjunction with her, I just don't think we're at that point. What is your favorite day of the week? They're all the same.
They are pretty much, well, except for now.
It's more, is Wes here or is Wes not here?
Yeah.
Those are the days. I've tried shrinking tube. Shrinks with heat for electrical wiring on the tooth presser foot to keep it snug. Oh, that's interesting.
What is it?
Like on electrical stuff, it's like a heat shrink tube.
Oh, yeah. So you put it on there and you heat it up with like a heat gun or something,
That is very
and it
interesting.
shrinks?
That might be worth trying to the other person.
Can you get it off? How do you get it off if it doesn't work?
I think also, going back to the other question, I think female products is kind of where we can differentiate ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of like handmade women's stuff, which is interesting because like there's a ton of, in my opinion, handmade men's stuff, like wallets,
But
bags,
it also all looks the same.
but it all looks very similar. And we haven't found, I feel, like a new perspective on it yet for the menswear stuff.
I agree with you. It's kind of like we didn't have wallets for a really, really long time because I just didn't feel like I had a good idea for a wallet that felt like different enough or like that felt like I was like adding something until we finally, now we have 2 wallets, but that I feel really good about. But I'm not going to just like put a bunch of men's stuff out there that I don't feel great about.
Favorite day of the week is when Wes isn't there. As a parent, I fully understand. It's not even about him. It's just about the ability to not
think.
have like someone in your ear, because the kid talks a lot, and we love him, but it's hard to think, and I love to think. So there's that. Don't get greedy. I mean, that's not our goal. We...
I don't think that's ever been.
No. I truly feel that, like, financial rewards are a byproduct of doing something correctly or well or good, if that makes sense. So we're not trying to just, like, see how much money we can possibly make. We're very grateful every day.
If we were trying to do that, we'd be working with overseas manufacturing by now, believe me.
We would be doing a lot of things different. We're very grateful for even the opportunities that have been in front of us.
100%.
Like, some of the stuff we could have never even seen.
We got to go to Spain.
We got to go to Spain
How
to
cool
do
is
a
that?
course, and get filmed. It was so cool. So, yeah, that's not...
Our son gets to see us working in the workshop every day.
Yeah, that's not where this comes from.
No, not even close.
So wasn't it this? Your stuff is beautiful. Just wondering if you did some research and found that the market is better for leather goods versus men. No sooner do I...
The other point to that too is
women like fashion, men like utility. Yeah, that's pretty true.
But what's also interesting is I definitely think
We get a lot of
there's a
questions
lot
about menswear.
more men leather workers than there are women leather workers.
That's
Now,
true.
that has definitely changed and grown over the last few years, but especially within the space of like showing what you're doing, there's definitely way more men. And the men are going to be making stuff for men, and a lot of it looks all the same. And women tend to be more adventurous and changing things out. Like a lot of women have like 5 purses that they change out depending on what they're doing. Men typically have like one belt, one wallet, and a bag. I don't know. But like it's just...
I have unlimited belt options, and I have 2 belts. One that lasted forever, and then a new one I made to replace it. I'm not my target market.
So I would say that like there is more opportunity in it as far as like purchases because women tend to like...
Well, and
change
also
things up
I
more,
think,
too.
I mean, this is probably both, for both, but like if you find something you really like, you might get it again or get something similar from that company. And like...
Also, we make stuff that lasts forever.
Yeah.
So like maybe you get another color.
What are some other materials you considered incorporating into your leather goods? Denim, plaid. We haven't.
Canvas was the only thing we did.
Yeah, but we haven't. Since then, we haven't really.
Oh no.
We're just leather.
Which is leather.
Would you consider doing a custom print leather instead of a custom color? There's different like platings that can be done.
Oh yeah, that's like stamping basically. Like the milled has that like texture in it.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. We would do the we
like the straightforwardness
milled.
of
We would
the
do more of
bridal
that. Yeah.
and the smoothness. I know there's like a lot of people do. I forget what it's called. It's like reindeer. I think it looks like cross hatching.
Oh yeah, that texture.
We're not in the textures. Generally, textures are a way
just not in my
to
leather.
make something look better than it is, and make it homogeneous.
Yeah.
And then they add like a layer of either paint or like a resin to stamp it. Sometimes we're not really into that. And it's, to me, like if you have a leather product, you want to see that it's leather and enjoy that it's leather, not have it be just like another piece of material.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My wife has purses, bags by the tens. I have knife sheaths and belts by the tens. So
Knife
there you
sheath,
go.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah, I
one.
imagine knife collectors are like a whole market.
Yeah, that's true. But like I have no knowledge of that other than like,
No,
you know,
me neither.
using a pocket knife. And like a cooking knife.
But yeah, there's like subsets of like leather workers, leatherworking. Yeah.
But there's definitely less women doing that and showing how they make everything, like doing what we're doing. So I just feel like it's a place where my skills lie, my abilities lie, and like we stand out a little bit because of it.
Good questions. Now it's getting weird.
Here comes the weird part.
Here comes the weird part.
All right, the second threat.
Second threat.
You guys don't have any good questions, we'll get going so I can get working speedier over here. Excuse me.
Second threat. I've learned a lot here today. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for asking questions and thanks for
Yes.
participating. It's always makes these better. And like we want to answer like your specific questions if we can help.
Oh, definitely.
So that always is great. Any updates on the Domestica course? We wish. We were actually talking about that this morning.
As like,
We're like, obviously we wanted to come out, and it's hard to be waiting so long. And it's
be patient.
and like, I don't want to say we're disappointed, but I know they're doing a lot of work to get it to where it needs to be and to get it like.
They also release things like very,
to market it properly and all that stuff.
yeah, like at certain times of the year. And I would say that I could imagine a lot more people doing leather type goods in the fall and winter. So I personally feel it's probably going to end up coming out in the fall because that definitely makes more sense if that's what you're.
But yeah, we're just as excited to see it as
Oh
you
my
are because we
gosh,
haven't seen it, right?
100%.
First, it usually comes out a trailer, and then I think they do like a marketing campaign.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have like
We'll let you know.
some sort of update when it's coming.
MGMT or Casey Elephant? MGMT.
I don't know what that means.
It's a band.
Oh.
When do you open for orders? The next time will be July. We're still kind of figuring out.
July 1st. It's usually
July
the first
1st.
week of every month.
We're still figuring out because we're going to be going away in July.
Yes.
How many we can take if we can. So we'll know that towards the end of June, and we'll be more clear about it then. That's a good
Yeah, we
question.
might open up and just like take a certain number of orders and close down.
Yeah.
I mean, which is what we do already, but it'd be like a smaller number.
Well,
of
we'll be away,
orders.
so we can't possibly produce
The same amount.
the same amount.
Yeah.
Would you say that the internet and all that stuff helped to be creative, or would you say that the web reduced our creativity? That's a good question. I think like
Probably did a little
anything,
bit of both.
like anything, it's a tool. So if you use it, like that's like asking, is a paintbrush going to make you more creative or less creative? And I think sometimes because of how vast our options are, it can reduce our creativity, because creativity is like an invention of necessity due to constraints usually, right? So I think that maybe it's reduced creativity. I think
It's, to use
tough
a
to
really
say.
good word that you used earlier, homogenized a lot of it too.
that's true.
Meaning like a lot of stuff looks very similar.
I think people, for some reason, they want to take less risks. And I think it's because it's more of like, it's almost like a social pressure to fit in, like psychological situation. But also like the amount of information just at our fingertips is, you can't, like we wouldn't even be able to do what we're doing without the use of the internet.
Yeah, for us, I think it helped us to do what we're doing much quicker.
It
that's
just
for
depends how you use the tool.
Yeah.
Do you cut your own straps? We don't. That's one of the efficiencies that we have. We get them cut. Did you feel that you needed to reach a certain number of followers before you limited order time? Yeah, so we let,
Not followers, but
yeah, not orders.
Yeah.
So everything is a risk, right? So we didn't know how it was going to work. But we felt it was like a good time to do that based on the volume. So we knew that because of how we were getting orders in and how we were producing, that we were limited in what we could produce. And it was a little bit more frustrating. Like I think Leanne said earlier, she just made a batch of something and then we get another one of those in when we could have just easily squeezed it into a new that old batch
it
and
made
then
it
gotten it
more
out faster.
efficient. Yeah.
So this was a way for us on our end to be more efficient and you know, we're always reconsidering what our production looks like and how we do it and what can be like best for everybody. And this was one of those things. Do we accept orders from the Philippines? We do. We do international. And this person agrees with our synopsis on internet. Yeah, it's like anything. It's what you make of it. I think like there's a lot being made out of AI and stuff, and we'll see how it plays out. Like, will that like just kill people's creativity because a computer can do it? Maybe. I think it'll just produce different kinds of high skill creativity jobs and high skill creativity needs.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that goes. Because to me, it's going to actually put more attention on
The handmade?
Yeah.
Yep.
Potentially could put more attention on like the handmade
Well,
stuff. 'Cause,
potentially
like,
people could just have more of a want for handmade because everything is so like
digital.
like yeah, it depends how good it gets. So like, can it eventually create a fully unique, like can you create your own brand through it?
You
I don't know.
definitely, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, but is it good?
Eh.
And is it like humans can detect humans? Like I don't know how else to say that. Like
The other
people
thing
can
is,
tell.
like, so we played with it. Like we were down at Nick's sister's house, and his brother-in-law was messing around with it. He was showing it to us when it first came out. And we played with it to see like what kind of bag would it make, right?
Yeah.
And so we put in some stuff, and I'm sure we didn't play with it for that long.
No.
But like, it has a very specific look. I'm
It
finding.
reminds me of early Photoshop when people first started using Photoshop. Everything
Yes.
looked like they had that same like repeat tool or the same brush.
I'm sure it'll change
It will.
as things go on, but it definitely has a very specific look, which I find interesting. It actually reminds me very much of like steampunk in a way, the look of it.
Not what I would have thought.
Um,
This looks fake to me.
it does, but like,
I think you need a hot cup of tea with lemon. That's your dad.
I'm sick. Then my dad said that. Thanks, Dad.
I mean, Leathercraft. Do you plan to do any
I do need that.
Leathercraft sessions? If you mean like in person, then no.
Like a class?
But we do have the Domestica course eventually coming up.
Yep.
Which will teach you how to make a specific crossbody bag, and will teach you the skills needed to make it, which you can apply to the designs you want to make. How many hours a day are you in the lab when order week is closed? We're still rolling through like production. Like we try to time it so that we're starting the next month's orders at the end of that order week.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
just
not like
keeps
we
going.
stop.
The only way that would stop is if I were able to like really pump through it.
We came close to stopping once
Yeah.
because we made all the orders, and that was I think January, the first one.
Which was funny because it was the
Well, because
busiest.
it was the busiest, but we had a
We
little
had
bit of backstock.
Pre-order.
and
Yeah, we had a little bit of backstock. We had pre-orders that had more lead time on them.
Yeah, so that was funny.
But I also worked my ass off
Yeah,
that month.
that was
It
a smooth month though. It like went everything.
It was
went-
slightly unhealthy, I think, for me.
Yeah, which is another important aspect. We want to keep her sane, me sane, Wes sane. So yeah, we're still working. We're just doing different stuff. Hands-on craftsmanship is dying. It's sad to see, but it's happening and will soon be gone.
I
Yeah,
disagree.
I think
I mean,
think it's less prevalent for sure. Like think
Right.
how many cobblers there are. Or hat makers. There's just
I don't
there
think
used to
it'll
be
be gone.
everywhere.
It's
But
not
now
gonna
there's
be
just
gone.
some very specified few people doing it. So I think you're just going to have like a handful of really good artisans.
I agree.
Hello from Colombia. I mean, and things change, and like you can't fight change.
I mean, you can. It's not going to get you very
Well, yeah, it's not
far.
going to help you. How do you guys ship? Do you use a service? Yeah, when you check out through the site, you can select. I think it's USPS, FedEx, USPS,
You said that. You mean
UPS.
ups?
UPS.
Ups.
And
That's for my parents.
I don't think DHL is an option anymore for some reason. and when they are gone.
Hmm?
Yeah, I think so. Things go in cycles, right? So I think what's old is new, and like things cycle over. So like I said, there's tons of hat makers at the turn of the century. They all went away, and then now I know
A
a
lot
handful of
more.
really great hat makers right now.
Yeah.
And eventually, like it'll go away. It all cycles. It's cyclical. So you kind of have to acknowledge like what golden age are you living in at this moment, and what makes sense.
Are you getting my?
No, I just got a tickle.
Are you sure?
And it's hard to know, like, what's the office quote?
Like from The Office?
Yeah. I wish I knew when, like, I was living the good old days back in the good, like, before, or something, whatever that is. It's hard to know that.
It's true.
Well, that was positive. Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at things. If you just like assume everything's going to go away, of course you're going to be like, well, everything's terrible.
I mean, what's the point of trying, right?
Yeah. So you got to there's got to be some
We
hope.
tend to be like, pretty optimistic people, I think.
Yeah. Well, like we
I
never
can be
expected to be
scared.
doing this,
Yeah.
like when we started. So who's to say that doesn't find someone else by chance?
It's true.
I do think there's going to be a renewed interest in people working with their hands
I agree.
because, we saw layoffs of white collar jobs, right, for the first time, like probably ever like that, besides like 2008. So like I think that there's going to be some people out there that see that, and maybe they're just getting out of college or high school, and then they start working with their hands on something because that's something that's real. That's something that's, and that's not to say there's not value in both of those kinds of work. Like I think we just need to reassess how we value the work that needs to be done as a society.
We need to get going soon.
And we gotta go.
We have to go a second. I'm just saying. Just making you aware.
Because it takes all sorts of people and things to make everything function, right?
Do I make a new bobbin or do I risk
People are learning. What?
I said, do I do a new bobbin or do I risk
Here's the real stressor. The bobbin has enough for like what?
I'm not going to
We'll find out.
I'm not going to risk it.
Not gonna guess. All right. People are learning that hands and trades provide mobility. Yeah, there's tons of people in the trades that are doing great. Just think of,
Electricians.
electricians, carpenters,
Plumbers.
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can't find enough people.
Our
Yeah.
like whole borough is
Our whole
basically
borough
small
is like small business services.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
pretty
not
cool.
even kidding. It was funny. I was sitting with one of the moms at gymnastics the other day talking, and she's like, "You know what's crazy? I was thinking about it." And she's like, "I know so many people who own their own business. It's
Yeah.
really cool."
Well, that's the other part. There's a revitalization of wanting to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's scary for a lot of people, but I think before 2020, it was kind of like seen as something that was too risky. But as people got laid off, they realized why not give it a try and realized that, hey, I can grow an audience, I can create something that people want and can sustain myself, or at least be a little bit of a side hustle. My point was and is we now live in a throwaway society. It's easier to go to Walmart and buy something cheap and throw it away. Good quality goods don't fit that category. I agree. I think, but you have to also, I agree and I disagree. Like, we obviously do live in a society that doesn't value longevity of product the same way we used to, but it's not purely like a consumer, it's not purely a consumer issue. If people made quality goods and kept the quality, they would find themselves with customers. I know, like, I don't know, and it probably depends product to product. Like, how many can openers are you going to buy, and what's the real difference between like a high quality can opener and a crappy can opener? You know, So
I like
like
your analogy.
it depends on what you're getting, but I think that people have reevaluated what value is to them. So like I'm somebody who would want to buy a lifetime can opener. And I think there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. But there is a lot of people out there like I'm buying a 10-cent can opener that's going to break, and then I'm going to buy another 10-cent can opener that's going to break. I think it's important to look at the long-term cost of that item and see if it's worth it for you. And it's not for everybody. But I think the pandemic showed us people that are working more than 60 hours a week for a company that will drop you on a whim. Yeah, exactly. There's less, I mean, a job feels stable, but it's not any more or less stable than I think what we're doing. And I think a lot of people realize that. Customers don't want to pay for the quality and craftsmanship. I disagree. I think it's harder to get started doing that. And if that weren't true, people wouldn't pay for anything that we're doing. Like I have a pair of Red Wing boots on, and they're more expensive than like a $50 pair of boots. I was willing to invest because I know the amount of wears I get out of this is going to far outlast a $100 pair of sneakers or whatever. So like it's a cost benefit analysis, and I feel like it's really not a great thing to do to generalize people that way. And I think when you put the options in front of them and like they understand the options, I think you'll find that people are happy to pay more for something that's going to last them longer and meet their needs in a better way. I think that we're so used to cheap goods that break. I think there's a lot of people that are frustrated by that. Like when we bought our house, we had a washer that is probably 30 years old. It did break, but like
It was 30
how
years
many?
old.
It was 30 years old. How
And the
many
washer,
other?
as we were selling our old house.
Don't talk about that.
Okay.
No. So,
All right.
and then I don't know how long our washer's gonna we had to buy a new one. How long that's gonna last? Like,
Definitely not 30 years.
there's a lot of factors that go into that. It's cheaper in the long run, but lower income people don't have the luxury of buying investment pieces. Oh, I agree.
I
think
totally agree
I
with
think
you.
that's part of the problem. There's
Yep.
not a lot of companies out there willing to make low margin items that are quality. Think of all the clothes you
Right.
bought. Like that's such a problem. But I think there's going to be someone that comes along and figures it out and can start making like low quality staple pieces for people who want to put together a wardrobe, or high quality staple pieces at low cost. They want to put together a wardrobe so that the disparity between the prices is a little bit less.
It's also the issue with the disparity of the rich and the poor in general.
Well, for sure.
It's a big problem.
It's a real problem in the world of small business now. Rugged individualism. Yes, small businesses have grown, but collaborating between them has been replaced by cannibalism. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times big companies will just eat the small company. I mean, this is an important conversation to have. I agree. I mean, there's not just one product out there for everybody. There needs to be enough for
But you
everyone
don't
to
want
be
it
able
to
to
be a
get what they
monopoly.
need. That's
Yeah.
the whole point. Like, but when we lose competition, and it gets difficult because people then they don't price properly because there's no one to compete against. And then obviously what we're selling isn't a necessity. It's not food, it's not water, it's not clothes. So it's a whole different level. You can blame corporations for the race to the bottom, but it's going to take a huge shift in consumer behavior. It's great to talk about bringing back American jobs, but is the consumer ready to pay? Yeah, I think that's a really valid and good point. I personally feel that if given the options, I think people won't just choose the cheapest option because of what that means. I think, when we think of old American built stuff, it was like overbuilt. It was like tough. It was gonna last you your lifetime. And I don't know if there's a whole lot of places out there that can say that about their goods anymore. So you knew what you were getting. And I think now when a company hits it, they're so quick to diminish the quality of their product that it's so frustrating. It's like, I don't know. if you buy something that you loved and then you need to replace it in 10 years and it's not the same, like I know that's a long stretch of time, but it requires that forethought, and it requires that vision of a company to maintain and be okay with saying no to to certain things. Like, but everyone is really focused on profit and profit alone, and maximizing profit. And like that's not everything that life's about, right? So I think we need to, it will take a big shift in consumer behavior, but as people aren't able to afford anything at all, like what are the options? It's going to require courage from business owners to be unapologetic about the cost. We cave too often in favor of a sale, or yeah. Yeah, I agree. We don't, that's the other thing. Do we really know the true cost of our goods? Because we don't. We certainly don't. If we think that like your 50-cent can opener is really worth 50 cents, it's not. Like we have to be willing to either pay the actual price of the goods and live with less, or what? What's the other option? And that's a big shift in mindset. And I think from our perspective, I think that's what we're seeing. I think people are living with less, but the things they're getting, they appreciate and they want to spend on. Yeah. Repairability is also a big thing. We have some super heavy vintage metal upright vacuums that was my in-laws, probably 40 years old, works great, and I can replace any part that breaks. Yes. So, and that the computerization of every appliance is another,
especially with cars,
another world. And another problem.
Yeah.
And repairability is like a whole different thing. But you're right.
Like stretch jeans.
And stretch jeans.
We need to get going. It's 12:40.
We do gotta go. Well, that turned out to be it turned. I mean, we're hopeful, right? We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't feel that way.
Definitely
but
not.
I think we're gonna see some pretty large shifts, especially in our lifetime and Wes's lifetime, about how we decide to spend money, who we spend it with, because people are more interested in what the company is doing and what they're not doing, and if they're just paying lip service to what they say they're doing. Like, it's not, we need some like genuine businesses out there. That's why I drive a 23-year-old car. There you go. You can fix it. All right, guys, thanks for chatting. We'll see you next week. This always goes by faster than I expect.
And then I'm like, hey, it's time to get the kid. We have to go.
We have to leave.
It is time for us to go.
Thank you. Love your work. Excited to order. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for your questions. We'll see you next week. And bye.
He's gonna end it weird.
Always gotta be weird.